No, there's the technical aspect of engineering, there's the musical aspect of it, there are the ears, and there's the kind of innate talent. How would you rank those, or what would you say is most important for someone to work to develop that wants to have the kind of skills that you have?
I think the key is to form your taste. Everything else will follow.
Mm-hmm.
It's very taste-driven to me. Like, how can I put this? When you solo a bass drum,
mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who was born with the innate knowledge of what a bass drum should sound like in solo. I haven't met that person yet.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you're going to educate your taste on what a bass drum should sound like in solo. So the first time you're going to put it up, you're like, All right, so you're going to try and imagine what the bass drum on that track that you really like sounded like if it were soloed.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, that's a tall order. I remember listening to CDs, like, with headphones, pushing the headphones on to try and figure out what reverb they use, because I had no idea what reverb you use on the vocal. I was like, okay,
sure.
I don't know. I was like trying to figure it out. You can't tell a hall from a plate, from a mastered squished record. Whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to educate your taste. So for me, the most important thing is curiosity. Mm-hmm. That's the number one thing. It's like, how did they do it? And why does it sound that way? And then form your taste and your vision of the sound in such a way that now you know what to do when you solo your bass drum.
Right.
That's a long process. There's no more assistantship. So to get an internship in the studio when you're not going to wash the floors, you're actually going to do something. It takes forever. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, how would you say, stale information running around on the internet. A lot of, sometimes when I have a minute, I just go on the forums and read the stuff that people say, and I'm like, this is just plain criminal information. So there's a lot of disinformation. There's not a lot of assistantship left. Mm-hmm. So it takes a while to be able to educate yourself on how to do it. And I would say that curiosity to educate yourself on how to do things is the most important. So if you want to be a mixer, it's the same as if you want to be a guitar player. If you want to be a guitar player, you're going to check out, Joe Pass or if you're in a Satriani, depending on what you're into, and you're
sure.
going to transcribe their stuff and go nuts and just like go crazy and zone on that and learn from that. Charlie Parker, the saxophone player, mm-hmm. said there's 3 phases. I'm going to probably say it wrong, but I think he said assimilation, emulation, innovation. So the first thing you do is you got to find what you like. Second, you got to learn what you like. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you're able to expand into creating something that someone hasn't done before. And most people skip the 2 first steps, which for very few people that works. It's rare. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it gives very poor results. So I would say, first, the curiosity. Second, form your taste. Educate yourself on all the music that's available and how it sounds and where it comes from.
Right.
And then after that, the musical ability is crucial. Mm-hmm. And then technical abilities. It's important. It's very important. Mm-hmm. The gear is far in the back. If you have those 4 things, you should be able to make it work with anything. Mm-hmm. When you get to a certain level, you need the equipment to be able to be at your level of vision. Mm-hmm. So you need to elevate your equipment to your level of vision. But if you don't know, if you solo a bass drum and you don't know what to do with it, you got ways to go before it serves any purpose to buy any equipment.
Right.
You know what I mean? It comes from the brain. I can have anybody sit in my room and use all the equipment, and they will fail miserably until they have it in their head what they want to do with it. Right. So that's a far thing. The technical ability is something that I think you can make up as you go because you have a clear picture in your head of what you want stuff to sound like. Mm-hmm. I don't have a formal engineer training. Sometimes I feel bad about that. Because sometimes I feel that maybe I'd be better if I assisted somebody for 5 years or if I went to school for something. Right. But I spend an awful lot of time thinking about all these technical issues and asking questions to the people who are better than me, mm-hmm. and trying stuff. And so I couldn't build a piece of equipment to save my life. I can't repair anything to save my life. Right. But when it comes down to things like gain staging or studio design or ergonomics or or how to wire a patch bay, or things, the basic things that you need to be able to make music in the modern world, I'm fine. And I learned by myself. I would probably save time if I went to school, if I assisted somebody. But since I've had every single problem in the world 3 times, and I failed at everything at least 3 times, now I'm vaccinated, I'm good to go.
Right.
You know, so I no regrets there.
Right.
But you know, sometimes I get calls. Well, every day I get calls from friends who say, "How do you set up a compressor?" I'm like, I could tell you, but I just do it. You know. And sometimes it's good to say, you know, for that particular question, how do you set up a compressor? I usually say, don't. You know, you don't need it.
Right.
But that's a different story.
Right. Right. You know, to your first point, I was talking to Bruce Swedien, and
Yes.
he says when people ask him how to become a great engineer, he always tells them, go out and listen to a lot of live music.
Right.
So that you know what a bass drum sounds like, so you know what a real snare drum sounds like. Then when you go into the studio, you have an accurate picture you can work toward.
And that's the thing. It's about the vision. And once you open your session, you press play, you listen to the song. Sometimes you listen to the song once and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. You stop listening again. I don't know what to do with this. You stop listening again, and I can listen to a song for an hour and it's like, you just don't hear it, you know. And then sometimes you open a song, you press play, and by the end of the first chorus, I stop and I'm ready to go. I know I want this to sound this way because of this, and this reason.
Right.
Because I like this record, because it makes me feel like that record, because the bass player is badass, and you say this is going to be a big bass record, because the singer is wonderful and it doesn't really need anything else but the vocal front and center beating you over the head, things like that. So it's a very musical decision every time. But the idea is, it's about the vision. So listening to a lot of live music is awesome.
Right.
Because it gives you the perspective on how people get touched. You know, what makes somebody scream? How do you make a pre-chorus grow into a chorus so that on the beat of the chorus, the way it happens live, you know, when a good band hits a chorus really hard, people just start cheering. You know, how do I make that happen in the living room with the band not there? That is tough, and that's something that you have to. It's an emotional response. It's not very technical to me. It's raising the bass plus 1.5 dB at 60 hertz on the pre-chorus is not going to do that. So it comes from a different place.
Right.
Maybe I need to do the plus 1.5 at 60 hertz on the pre-chorus to get that response. But it's backwards, you know. It's like the technical sides is a means to an end. What's important is to make people cheer.
Right.
And to know how to do that, you have to see it happen in action, in real life, which most engineers don't do.
Right.
Most people who just stay up in their studio and they don't go out much.
Right.
It's important to go out and listen to music.
Absolutely.
It's great to go to be in. That's why towns that have a vibrant scene, it's kind of like a self-feeding kind of system, because there's a vibrant scene, so people go see music, which gives them ideas, which then feeds the scene, and when a scene starts dying, it's time to move.
Right. You have to get where the music is.
Yeah. Or unless where you are in your process, if you're strong enough to be able to federate people and create a scene, which is what we're doing right now at Flux in New York.
Awesome.
We do a lot of events. We're a recording studio, so we're not supposed to do events. But for me, I don't care. So it goes from like indie rock, angry, 2 guitars, bass drums, like to straight ahead big band, like old school 13-piece band. And we have events in our live room all the time on our roof. And there's a whole vibrant scene around it, just building, just like it's beaming with energy. It's wonderful. And we do amazing records from just the local scene. And some of those guys happen to be like geniuses, and some of those guys are maybe slightly less geniuses. But it's a very vibrant thing. So we are creating our own scene around this studio that I built. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. Which means I don't have to leave town too.
Yeah, right.
It's build your own scene kind of vibe. It's awesome.
Right. Fab, thanks so much for being here.
Pleasure.
We appreciate you coming out for Gear Fest and for spending some time with us today.
Yep. Thank you so much.
I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.